Hi, my name is Sharon from Tiny Trends LA. Today, I'll be showing you how to take these regular plain kids jeans and transforming them into tiny, trendy, fashionable jeans by distressing them, fading them, and adding a patch detail. So, let's get started. Okay, so let's go over everything we'll be needing for this project. A pair of jeans. In this case, I'll be working with a brand new pair of kids jeans that I found on sale for $10. Inspiration photos, just to reference while we work. One sheet of 60 grit sandpaper. A magazine. Scissors. An X-Acto knife. And a utility knife. I've included links to some of these in the description below. So, let's move on. Okay, so the first thing I did is I took my sheet of sandpaper and I cut it down into 3 even parts, just like this. There's the third one. So I'm going to put 2 on the side, I'm going to take one, and I'm going to fold it down into a little square, just like that. So I'm going to put this off to the side for a second, and this is a part where I would suggest if you want to wear gloves on your hands to protect them, go ahead and do that. In this case, I'm choosing not to wear gloves just because I feel I have a better grip on the sandpaper. However, the sandpaper can dry out your hands a little, or it can give you a paper cut here and there. So if you don't mind that, you can go ahead and skip using the gloves, and I'm choosing to do so. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have my inspiration photo out to reference while I start sanding. I'm going to take my magazine, and I'm going to be placing it into the leg of my pant. So I would suggest finding a magazine that isn't too bulky, just so you can fit it in. So I'm taking a magazine, I'm kind of placing it right where right where the zipper ends, the 1 inch below the zipper fly. I'm placing a magazine there, and I'm just kind of going to be working on this portion of the thigh and the knee. And I'm going to be using my sandpaper and just in a downward motion, put some elbow grease into it, just really start sanding it down, just so I can start fading out the color in it. Okay, so let me start doing that. Okay, so you should start seeing a bit of fading happening now. And you can see the contrast between the original leg and the one I've just started sanding down. So the cool thing about this project is if the fade isn't how you want it, you can always go back later and add more strokes with the sandpaper just to fade it out even more. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to try pinching the fabric down. Kind of creating a little roll here to get kind of that distressed line going across on the upper thigh right below the pocket and right below the pocket and right above the thigh, just to kind of get those distressed marks going. So let me try that out and let's see if we can get it. I'm just going to take it and just like kind of pinch it down about 1/8. So you should now have something that looks like this. You can kind of see those little almost like a whisker going across. Okay, so now I'm going to take my sandpaper and right along the edge of my pocket opening, I'm just going to go ahead and just start like sanding it down, going on the opposite direction of the grain. So this one I'm kind of just going to use my fingers to hold it open and just go at it with the sandpaper. So you should have some wear down that's happening here. We're wearing it down on the seam, and we're going to come back later on with our X-Acto knife and we're really going to go into it. So I'm going to do the same thing with my sandpaper right along my waistband here and my zipper fly. I'm just going to fade it out as much as I possibly can before we move on. Okay, you should have something that looks like this. And I'm going to go ahead and repeat the same process on the other leg. I'm actually going to take one of my other sheets and just start using this because I'm kind of wearing this one down. Okay, so now that you've sanded your jean down, you should have something that looks like this in the front. And I repeated the same process that I did in the front on the back. So it should look something like this. Okay, so now we're ready to start cutting away with our X-Acto knife and utility knife. So I'm going to take my magazine and place it back into my leg. And I'm going to go ahead and bring out my inspiration photo, the one with the tears in it, this one. I'm going to place it out just so I can reference it while I work on this. So I want to recreate the patch detail underneath the tears. So for this, it's really up to you and how you want to place your tears, where you want them, how you want your jean to look. So I kind of want a patch to be around my knee area. So I'm kind of going to eyeball it. And I'm just going to start with my utility knife and cutting into it. So you very gently want to start cutting into your fabric just because you want to start with like kind of like a pattern, I guess, and build on it. So I'm just going to start with like a more narrow cut and then just build onto a wider one and kind of make a shape out of it and see how it goes. All right, so very gently, just going to go for it. And I'm going to space them out about 1/4 to 1/8 of an inch. To see if it'll open up. So I'm not sure if you can see that there. They're actually not opening up. Oh, here we go. And they should be opening up just like this once you go like through it again. So I'm going to go ahead and go through them one more time. So I want to keep my cuts, I'm going to say, bit narrow, and later on after we do the rest of the process, if we want to come back and open it up more, we can always go back and do that process of opening it up, but it's going to be harder to close it up since it's already torn. So just try to gauge it is the best thing I can say right now. Okay, so now that I have my knee cut up, I'm going to show you. You should have some tears that look like this, and grooves in your fabric where you went over your knife. It probably didn't open up all the way, but that's okay because later on we're going to come back and we'll go over it with some sandpaper after we do a wash process on it. So now I'm going to slide down my magazine, and I'm just going to tear up my bottom of my leg opening here using my X-Acto knife. Put that back. I'm kind of just going to do a couple of cuts in here, just randomly. Take my sandpaper and just sand it out. Just want the leg opening to look worn out as well. So now I want to create a tear up here near my pocket. So I'm going to go ahead and inside, I'm going to pull the pocket itself upwards and try to slide my magazine underneath, avoiding the actual pocket lining so we don't cut it open. And I'm actually going to use my X-Acto knife for this one. Very gently, I'm just going to tear into the fabric. Kind of just creating these tiny little tears in here. And the shape again is really up to you, as well as the spacing. Okay, so it's going to be kind of hard to see that, but you should see a little bit of tears in there. And I'm going to go ahead and repeat this process on the other leg as well as the back pockets. And in the back, you really want to get into your yoke right here, your yoke seam, and make it look so it's worn down, but avoid cutting the actual thread so your jean doesn't unravel and come apart. So let me repeat the process on the other side. Okay, so now that you've created all your slits in your garment, you're going to go ahead and pop this in the wash. And what that's going to do, it's going to open up the slits and it's going to start fraying the edges for you. And we're also going to be removing the layer of lint we've created since we're sanding it down, and remove the excess sandpaper that probably stayed behind on it. So let's go ahead and pop it in the wash and come back and we'll see where to go from there. Okay, so now that your pant is out of the wash and the dryer, you should have something that looks like this. And I think mine came out pretty good. So if your cuts didn't fray the way you wanted them to, you can always come back, place your magazine underneath, and with your X-Acto knife or your utility knife, you can go on ahead and very gently just start stroking it until you build more tears in your pant. And don't forget that every time you wash this, it is going to fray more and more. So you can go ahead and do a few more cuts in it and throw it back in the wash and the dryer until you get the look you really wanted. So I'm pretty satisfied with mine. So I'm going to go ahead and take some fabric and create a patch for it. So just a basic piece of black fabric, I went ahead and fused it in the back. So this is a bigger part just so you can see. My fusing's on the back, ironed it, and it attached to my fabric. So I cut a small piece out using my pinking shears to avoid fraying, and I'm going to go ahead and place this underneath. And just with some needle and thread, I'm going to attach my patch. And once it's on, I don't know if you're able to see it through there, but you should get some of that contrasting fabric popping out underneath. So I'm going to go ahead and apply that using my needle and thread. And since my pant has a little bit of stretch, I'm going to go ahead and stretch it out when I do it, just so that it holds in place. Go ahead and pin it. Okay, and using my needle and thread, I'm going to follow the shape of my cutout here and just apply it. So I know it's kind of hard to see, but very simple. Just a little tack to hold my patch in place. I'm going to try to do those as close as possible all the way around. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up and we'll be right back. There you have it. Your patch should be right underneath. And once your frays here start falling apart, your patch will be peeking through underneath. So if you want to add more than one, you can go ahead and do that on your other parts. Mine are still fairly small when it comes to the tears and the fraying, so I'm going to go ahead and leave these without a patch, but you can always add something fun, something contrasting, maybe a different color, something with a print, just to get it to pop. So there you have it. Okay, so now that your patch has been attached, make sure to trim away any excess fabric along the edges using your pinking shears to avoid any fraying. And if you'd like, as extra reinforcement, you can add a piece of fusing over your patch, iron it on, and there you have it. So here are your new, very tiny, trendy, fashionable distressed kids jeans. So we're actually going to be giving away these very jeans via Instagram, so make sure you're following us at Tiny Trends LA. And I personally would love to see your photos, so make sure you tag us on those. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. My name is Sharon. Thank you so much for watching.